think is Tia has seen what is out there. Tia has caught a few fish and she'd had to throw them back in the ocean. Just last month, Tia was saying that dating is difficult and how men don't want to court women anymore. And I think she might have looked around and said, you know what, Cory may be all right.
Tia Mowry, a very surprising tweet the other day, okay? She says on Twitter, I know that love will find me again. I was a little shocked by that because I'm like, sweetie, love is still here. Your husband, who's still your husband, wants you to come home.
Tia Mowry is starting to face a tough reality, and it's hitting different now. She's been out here posting video after video, getting emotional, opening up about how she's ready for real love again, but nothing seems to be lining up for her the way she expected. You can see the frustration building because she keeps saying nobody is really trying to step up and truly court her the right way. And now, word is spreading that she's even reached back out to Cory Hardrict, hoping to spin the block and give their marriage another shot. But let's be honest, that situation looks like it's already closed for good, and it's been that way for a minute. What's really got people talking is how often Tia brings up her healing journey and her search for love ever since the divorce went public. It's like every time you turn around, she's reflecting, sharing lessons, or speaking on what she wants next in her life. And while growth is always a good thing, some folks are starting to side-eye how consistent this message has been, like something deeper might be going on behind the scenes. Back in the day, Tia and Cory really had people believing in long-term love again. When they tied the knot in 2008, they didn't just look happy, they looked mad. They spoke openly about the effort it takes to keep a marriage alive, making it clear that love isn't just a feeling, it's a daily decision. They made it known that choosing the same person over and over again takes work, patience, and real commitment. That kind of transparency had people respecting them heavy because they weren't pretending it was perfect, they were showing it was real. So when news dropped that they were calling it quits after nearly 2 decades together, it shook people up for real.
It's not easy going through a divorce. This doesn't feel good, and I feel alone. I got tired of people thinking that everything was perfect when it wasn't. You want to know what really happened? I'll tell you. It ain't in a headline.
Nobody saw it coming like that, especially after everything they had shared publicly about sticking it out through the ups and downs. Now seeing Tia in this new space trying to figure things out and possibly looking back at what she had, it's got everybody watching closely because this whole situation feels like it's still unfolding in real time. Now here's where things start to get even more interesting because people are really paying attention to Tia Mowry's tone lately. In her recent videos, she's not just talking about love in a casual way, she's getting very specific about what she feels is missing, and it's coming off a lot more emotional than before. She's been saying things like she wants intentional love and someone who truly shows up for her, and that has a lot of people wondering if she's comparing her current situation to what she used to have. Some viewers are even pointing out how her energy has shifted over time. At first, after the divorce, she seemed focused on independence, growth, and rediscovering herself. She was talking about peace, happiness, and building a new chapter on her own terms. But now the conversation feels different. It's less about being okay alone and more about wanting that partnership again. And not just any partnership, but something solid and real. That change has people talking because it's like the reality of dating is not matching the picture she had in her head. And then there's the chatter about Cory Hardrict. While nothing has been fully confirmed, people online keep bringing up the idea that she may have tried to reconnect with him behind the scenes. Some are even saying things like she's realizing what she had was rare, especially after stepping back into the dating world and seeing what's really out there. One comment that keeps popping up is, dating now is not what it used to be. And a lot of folks seem to agree with that sentiment. At the same time, others are pushing back and saying it's not about going backwards, it's about growth and figuring out what truly works for you. They're saying just because something ended doesn't mean it should be revisited, no matter how comfortable it once felt. Still, you can't ignore the fact that Tia's reflections seem a lot more layered now and people are picking up on every little detail. All of this has turned her journey into something people are watching closely, because it feels less like a polished story and more like real life playing out in real time, with all the ups, downs, and unexpected turns that come with it. Not long after they announced the split, Tia Mowry hit the scene heavy with interviews and she was not holding anything back. She went from one platform to the next, telling anyone who would listen that the divorce was the best thing that ever happened to her and that she was finally ready to live life on her own terms. The message was loud and clear, and it caught a lot of people off guard because of how strongly she was standing on it. Meanwhile, Cory Hardrict was catching heat from all directions, with people online throwing accusations and questions about what really went wrong. It got so intense that Cory had to step forward himself and shut things down, making it clear that he did not cheat, all while he was still dealing with the weight of the separation.
You know, it's tough when it feels like you're going through something alone and no one understands, and no one's there for you, and it's just like, you're a man, especially a black man. They're like, oh, he's tough, he's strong, but it was a year and a half crying myself to sleep every night. Nobody see that.
Yeah.
Nobody see that.
Yeah.
You live 5 minutes away from your babies, you know what I'm saying? Because people who know Cory Hardrict know that his kids and his family was everything to him.
Then came the comments that really had people raising eyebrows. Tia started describing her marriage as a curriculum and the divorce as a graduation, and that wording did not sit right with everyone. Some people understood it as her trying to explain growth and lessons learned, but others saw it completely differently. To them, it sounded like subtle shade being thrown Cory's way, like he was just part of a phase she needed to outgrow, even though he was right there in that relationship, putting in effort the whole time. Now let's be real for a second. Not every divorce is filled with sadness. There are situations where people walk away feeling relieved, especially if they went through real struggles behind closed doors. But in this case, a lot of folks are pointing out that there was never any public scandal tied to Cory. For over 14 years together, with 2 kids and a full life built, there were no headlines about him stepping out or embarrassing her. Not one situation ever came out that painted him in that light. What made things even more confusing for people was the timing of it all. Before everything was even fully finalized, Tia was already speaking on being ready for her next great love. That had the internet doing double takes, because from the outside looking in, it felt like things were moving extremely fast while the marriage was barely in the rearview mirror. Now fast forward to where things stand today, and the energy around Tia Mowry feels completely different from how she started out after the divorce. Back then, she sounded confident, free, and ready to take on the world by herself. But now, the tone in her videos is a lot more vulnerable, and people are picking up on that shift real quick. She's opening up about loneliness, about wanting real companionship, and about how hard it actually is to find someone who's serious. That contrast has folks talking, because it's like the reality of being back outside is not matching the vision she once painted. A lot of people online are even saying, this is not what she expected, and you can kind of see why they feel that way. Dating today is a whole different game, and Tia is stepping into it after being in a long-term relationship for over a decade. The rules have changed, the intentions of people seem different, and finding something genuine is not as simple as it sounds. She's made it clear that she's not looking for anything casual. She wants something meaningful and intentional, but that kind of connection is not easy to come by these days. At the same time, there's still this cloud hanging over everything when it comes to Cory Hardrict. People keep bringing his name back into the conversation, especially as Tia continues to reflect on love, partnership, and what she truly values. Some are even saying things like, you don't always realize what you had until you're out here dealing with something different. And that perspective is gaining traction online.
Just saying, I just want someone to hold. And someone told me and to hug me, and what's wrong with wanting that?
Nothing wrong with that. You're lonely.
Whether that's fair or not, it's definitely part of the conversation that refuses to go away. And while Tia is clearly trying to be open and honest about her journey, the internet is doing what it always does, analyzing every word, every expression, and every post. Some people support her and respect her transparency, while others feel like she's unintentionally revealing regrets without actually saying it outright. Either way, one thing is clear. This chapter of her life is not as simple as it once seemed, and everybody is watching to see what she does next. Whenever Cory Hardrict was asked how he was handling the divorce, he kept it solid every single time. He never came out throwing shade, never tried to embarrass Tia, and always spoke in a calm, respectful way about the situation. Even with all the noise online and people trying to pin things on him, he stayed consistent and didn't switch up his tone. That stood out to a lot of people, especially considering how messy public breakups can get when both sides start talking crazy. Meanwhile, ever since that whole curriculum and graduation moment, Tia Mowry has stayed vocal about how happy she is in this new chapter of her life. On her social media, she keeps reminding everyone that she's in her single girl era, that she's thriving, and that she's embracing this fresh start. The message has been loud and repeated often, like she really wants people to understand that she's moved on and is feeling good about where she's at. But now, reality seems to be setting in a little differently than expected. Being single, divorced, and raising 2 kids while also trying to find genuine love is not as simple as it may have looked at first. The dating scene is unpredictable, people move differently, and building something real takes time and patience. You can tell from her recent posts that things are not as smooth as she once made them seem, and that shift has people paying close attention. Then came the announcement of her reality show, Tia Mowry, My Next Act, and that had everyone curious. People thought this would finally be the moment where she opens up and gives real insight into what actually happened in her marriage to Cory. For years, she's talked around the situation, sharing everything except the exact reason she decided it was over. So, naturally, expectations were high for her to get more detailed and honest this time. But when it finally rolled out, a lot of viewers felt like something was missing. Instead of getting a deeper look into the marriage, it seemed like the focus stayed on her life after the divorce. Some people are now saying she's leaned so heavily into this single, divorced identity that the full story never really got addressed, and that left a lot of questions still hanging in the air. Now, to be fair, there's nothing wrong with someone choosing to share only certain parts of their story. But in Tia Mowry's case, people started noticing how quickly she moved past the tougher moments. She gave a small glimpse into her low points, but that didn't last long before she shifted gears and jumped right back into putting herself out there. Instead of really digging into what went down with Cory, she steered the conversation in a completely different direction and focused more on the tension with her sister. That choice had viewers raising eyebrows because it felt like the main question everyone had was being sidestepped.
Last relationship, when dating was, when I was, dating this person, it was beautiful. It was amazing. It was wonderful. There was courting that was, involved. And I was saying how I feel like that's no longer, present, meaning like people just don't court each other anymore. And this person was like, well, that's old news. Like people just don't do that anymore. There's just this whole new way of doing things. And I'm like, you mentioned tradition, and I think that's where it kind of needs to go back to.
It almost seemed like she was trying to keep everything polished and controlled, like she wanted the narrative to stay light and digestible. Some people even started saying that the sister drama felt like a distraction, something to keep viewers engaged without having to address the deeper issues. And honestly, if there was ever a moment for her to be fully transparent and clear the air, that reality show was the perfect opportunity. So when that didn't happen, a lot of folks felt like it might be time for her to step back from positioning herself as the voice for divorce and healing, especially when key details were still missing. But let's be real. Tia has always known how to keep attention on her, and she's not the type to just disappear quietly. So when she dropped another video saying she was ready for love again, this time with her therapist giving her the green light, people reacted fast. At first, some thought it was leading into something bigger, maybe a new show or even a relationship reveal. But when it turned out to just be another update, a lot of viewers felt like they were being strung along again, and that didn't sit well with everyone watching. People have been familiar with Tia since her sister days, so there's a long-standing connection there. You would think that kind of history would have everyone fully on her side, but lately the response has been more mixed. Some are supportive, but others are starting to question the consistency of her message. There's even chatter suggesting that what she really needed wasn't just a major life change, but deeper reflection and clarity before putting everything on display like this. Some people are even saying what Tia Mowry really needed wasn't just a life reset, but deep, consistent reflection to fully process everything. From the outside looking in, she walked away from a man who many viewed as attractive, supportive, and solid. There were never public stories about him cheating or mistreating her, and he carried himself as a present father and committed partner. That's why this whole situation has people talking so loudly, because it looks like she stepped away from something stable just to see what else was out there. And now with how things are unfolding, some are saying it's like she expected something better, but ended up realizing the options aren't what she thought they would be. There's also been a lot of discussion about her mindset going into the divorce. Tia has shared that Cory was her first real love and a major part of her life experience, and it seems like she felt she missed out on exploring and figuring things out before settling down. So, in her mind, Stepping into this new chapter was about growth and experiencing life in a different way. But critics are saying that sometimes what you're looking for on the outside is something you already had, and walking away from that can come with unexpected consequences. Even with all of the opinions flying around, Tia has made it clear she's not interested in going backwards. She addressed the pressure head-on, saying, "Just because the dating life is complicated doesn't mean I'm going to go back to something that no longer serves me. That's like saying if I don't book an audition or part as an actor right away, I'm going to give up on my dreams. Please just stop. I ain't that weak. Please move on because I have."
Hey, I'm doing okay. I truly feel like I'm really taking care of little Tia. You know, these past 3 years, oh my God, I'm about to cry. Sorry. I really feel like in these past 3 years, I have gotten to know myself. There have been lots of moments of solitude and silence, but I feel like that is where growth happens. You know, what my therapist told me, she said, "Tia, you know, you've done a lot of healing. You've done a lot of growing and you've done a lot of reading. And now it's time for you to get out there and to apply what you have learned." I'm ready. I'm ready to fall in love again. Like, I am ready for love.
That statement right there shows she's standing firm in her decision, no matter how people feel about it. Still, the conversation isn't dying down anytime soon. People are watching closely to see if her actions will eventually line up with her words, or if this journey will take another unexpected turn. Either way, this situation has turned into one of those stories where everyone has an opinion and nobody is staying quiet about it. At first it was all thank you, next energy, and Tia Mowry made it seem like she was completely done looking back. But lately, people are noticing a shift in her tone that's hard to ignore. It's not as bold and carefree as it once was. Now it feels more reflective, a little heavier, like reality is setting in. She's been open about loving herself, going on a spiritual journey and doing the work to heal, but at the same time, folks are pointing out that you can do all of that and still feel alone when things don't line up the way you hoped. And from what she's been showing recently, people are starting to question where that happiness is, because it's not coming across as clearly as she keeps saying it is. After the reality show dropped and some of her interviews made rounds online, there's talk that Cory has seen everything that's been said. According to reports, he's fully aware of the comments, the comparisons, and the way the story has been told publicly. And based on what's being said, he's not interested in spinning the block or revisiting that chapter at all. Instead, he's been focusing on himself, even making moves like upgrading his appearance and stepping back into the dating scene with a fresh start. That alone has people talking, because it sends a message without him even having to say much. Now, here's where things really start to turn heads. Word is that Cory is actively dating and enjoying this new phase of his life, and the internet is already bracing for the moment he pops out with someone new. People are even joking that once that happens, it's going to shift the entire conversation overnight. Because let's be honest, there's only so many times someone can go online and announce that they're ready for love before people start side-eyeing it and questioning what's really going on behind the scenes. At this point, the public is watching both sides closely, and the reactions are getting louder. Some feel sympathy, others feel skepticism. But one thing is clear, this situation has turned into a full-on spectacle, and everybody is waiting to see what happens next. Someone online really summed it up, saying, "Imagine walking away from a quiet, unproblematic marriage, only to cry about it for 3 straight years. Who's going to take her seriously when she graduates from relationships? Lord help her. Only you can do it." And that really hits because it makes you stop and think, wasn't the divorce supposed to be about finding happiness? And now, after all this time, is she truly happy, or is the same struggle following her into this next chapter? Here's the thing, a new partner isn't going to automatically fix what's inside. Love isn't magic, it can't erase the work that still needs to be done personally. Tia has been very public about her journey, posting updates, videos, and interviews, letting everyone into her process. But the question is, does all that exposure actually help her? Or is it keeping her stuck in this cycle of being ready for love in the spotlight? Now it's over to you. What do you think? Should Tia keep putting her love life and personal journey out there for everyone to watch? Or is it time for her to step back, focus quietly on herself, and let life unfold naturally? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear what you really think about her situation and how she's handling it. And while you're at it, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more updates, and share this video with friends who are following Tia's journey. Your engagement helps keep the conversation going, and I'll see you in the next video with all the latest tea.